She still sounds horrible. Oh, right, here we go. So what we're going to talk about today is how to touch our business every day, even when we're busy. Because I actually think that's quite a hard thing to do, because I think life and all its challenges and all the things that go on can make it quite hard. Is that true? Mm-hmm. Okay. However, I'm going to throw a spanner in the works at this juncture and say to you all, if by making 3 calls to prospects every day, Utility Warehouse sent you that night in your bank account £200, how many of you would manage to find the time to do 3 calls every day? Oh, isn't that interesting? What changed?
Money.
The money, but it was the incentive, wasn't it? It was the incentive. However, what I've done and purposely did, I actually said the amount less than what we can earn when we sign up a homeowner with all the services, because it's 250 to 300. So actually making those calls is pretty important, isn't it? Yeah. So on previous coachings on Tuesday, and by the way, Marie, sorry, I'm very rude. My name's Lisa Ware. I'm a senior group leader and I've been in the business 19 years. We'll have a proper chat and I'll introduce myself proper. It's just that everyone else here basically knows who I am. I don't want to take up the time. In previous coachings, I recommended to you to look at the podcasts. Who's had a look at the podcasts, and more importantly, who's listened to them? Excellent. Who listened to the one with Derek Thomas and Emma Sullivan about consistency?
Not yet, not that one.
Okay, that's good. Right, it doesn't matter that 3 of you said yeah, okay, because I'm going to go through this because I think it's actually a really important factor. Okay, now, one of the things they talk about is just ensuring you touch your business. And I actually agree with that. Now, there's various things come along and they can sweep you off your feet and they can make the day impossible. All right, all sorts of stuff. But one of the things that's terribly important in my life, and I want you to write the things that are important in your life. For me, it's keeping fit and healthy. In fact, I would probably say that comes out at number 1 for me. Of all the things that matter, keeping fit and healthy, because a very old adage of my mum used to say, if you haven't got your health, you've got nothing. So actually, yeah. And at this moment, I'll share with all of you, I am being challenged massively. I have got a problem with my pelvis, and it's years of a child falling down stairs, and I did it repeatedly. And I've got a coccyx that sticks out, and I think I've hit an age where all of a sudden it's decided it's really going to give me jip. And I was manipulated last week, and I've now made another emergency appointment because I don't think it's gone back. And this is causing me a lot of grief in terms of physical pain, but it's actually causing me more mental pain because I don't feel myself. And that can affect everything that I do. However, this morning, when I was thinking about what can I talk about today, at that moment, I thought, well, actually, do you know what, Lisa? You got to do something towards what you need to do. So whatever happened, I got up, got myself together, put the old kit on, went and did the chickens because they needed to be let out and all that cleaned. And then I said, I'm going to combine 2 activities that need to be done together. And it's something new for me, relatively new. It's only this last year. Took my phone with the earphones and listened to a podcast. And at the same time, went walking and really went walking. I mean, at a stride, something that got my heart racing, which I know is good for me and very, very good because you're getting oxygen in. So something new, because for me, personal development has always been books. Whereas now I'm learning to multi-skill, and I've realized that listening audio is actually really quite good, and you can focus and still do something else. So Derek Thomas on this particular podcast says, for the activity, you could divide it into three things. You could say there's maxi activity, there's midi activity, and there's mini. Now, if it's about calling, I would say 3 calls would put you in the max bracket. 2 calls midi and 1 call mini. But what they talked about, and this is something from years ago that we were taught, you need to have a daily method of operation, a DMO. And we've actually got some sheets that you can work to. Now, for me, I've always used my diary. It's constant. I see it every day. It's there. I'm watching it. And it's knowing that my things, as well as exercise and a bit of personal development, for me, it's making at least 3 calls to team members. It's making at least 3 prospecting calls. And it's usually something like congratulatory calls. All right. So that's mine. Now, that some people would say is actually quite a lot, because if you're fitting in total about 9 calls in, doesn't sound a lot, but some of those calls can be extended, and you've got to fit it in and around the things you're doing. Yeah. But where I've learned to do it well is these earphones, because you can stick your phone in your pocket, you can have them on, and it is incredibly clear. And you can make calls while you're doing stuff. So this morning I was actually making calls while I was gardening. I was weeding and moving plants that needed to be moved because my cucumbers are going out of control and they're taking over one of the veggie beds. Now it's quite interesting because I'm learning to do this. I've always been a multi-skiller, but this is something different. This is enabling me to work my business and still do the other things that mean something to me. So for this moment right now, what are the things that are meaningful to you? What's the stuff that has to be done and can't be ignored? Now that'll be outside of UW. That must not be ignored, but where can you now fit this stuff in? And if anybody wants, put your hand up if you'd like one of these daily method of operation. If you don't want to work on a diary, I will willingly send this out. Okay, I'll send it out to you. So, who makes calls every day? Not many. Now, imagine a team. Imagine you've got, let's say you've got a team of, let's say 20 partners. Okay, we won't go on my team because mine's silly. Mine's out, you know, there's loads there. But imagine a team of 20 partners. How marvelous would it be that if you worked by example and you made just 1 call and they all made just 1 call? Now, this is the wonder of network marketing and how clever it is. Because Robin Brooks, who's a national group leader, years ago taught me a phrase that has never left me, and it is what it's all about. And it is, a lot of people doing a little creates a lot. It's a bit of a tongue twister. You might want to write that down. A lot of people doing a little creates a lot. How good would it be if those 20 partners all just made 1 call? Now, you are doing 1 call, they're only doing 1 call, but now you've got 20 calls. It's what we call the John Paul Getty syndrome. He said, I'd rather have 1% of 100 people than 100% from myself. Who agrees with that? Yes. So now, do you think we could find the time to make 1 call? And could we then encourage our team to do 1 call? Now, in addition to that, we have what we call higher activities. Now, we've been very busy over the weekend, a few of us, and we have been in much higher activity. So Annette, and I know Mel has, who else have we got on here? I'm not sure. Teresa, if you have. I'm sorry if I don't know, but we've been doing 20k giveaways, and I've done 3 days in a row. Now, if you do something enough, Jim Rowan says a ratio appears. All right, it happens because what happens is you get stuff come back, and you just will. Now, Kevin Farwell and myself, we did Saturday, the very first thing called Summer in the Square. Unfortunately for us, I'm going to say this, I don't normally, but the sun came out. I was so excited that it looked like the weather was going to be inclement, because that's just perfect for us, because they don't go down the beach and they all tend to come into the town and they mill around. Oh no, it decided to blazon the sun. And there were people there, but they were there for the singing and the dancing, because there was all this entertainment laid on. I did get 2 appointments, but I'm not sure about them. And I said to Annette, one of them, I might even decide to cancel it myself. But there you go. Now, the next day on the Sunday, Kevin and I joined Annette for a summer family festival. The weather was wonderfully inclement. And people came, not loads, but this is something to share with you, because we're all about doing something consistently. It was one of those events where people come to relax and enjoy the event. And so they do mill around, they do stay, they are willing to listen. So I'm going to say to you, in your higher activity, start looking around you and thinking, where may there be something like a village fete? Perhaps there could be a school fete. Those are we know, I know Annette's looking here, we absolutely know that sometimes not the huge events, but the small ones where people will come and they'll stay around. Do you know what? That's where we get results. Now, Annette, I know that the people on the Saturday got 10 appointments, and between us on the Sunday, we got 10 appointments. So now there's stuff happening. Now, I didn't make calls on the Sunday because I was working, but I have been making calls yesterday and today. And I still did another event yesterday. But the only way that our business grows is purely by literally knowing. We don't have to know people, but we have to come into contact with people. And then they're not telepathic. I think we're all afraid of imposing ourselves on folk. I think it's a very British reserve, okay? But actually, if we all look at this, and I said it last week, that we're doing something that is a wonderful service for people. We're either reducing their bills forevermore, or we're helping them to increase their income. Now that, on both sides of the table, is absolutely wonderful. So why should we feel bad about it? Why should we think we're imposing? Maybe with that psychology, we might feel differently about picking up the phone and making some calls to people that we've come into contact with. We've got enormous amounts of tools, all right, at our disposal. We've talked about the UW stories. You could send an email with attachments. We've got the virtual opportunity presentations where partners are concerned. There's a lot of stuff going on, okay? And there's also some virtual live ones, which sounds strange to say virtual, but they're through Zoom, but there's real people at them, if you get my drift, all right? I know Derek Thomas does one on Saturdays, no, Wednesday night, sorry, and then Christine and Ian Forth, they do one on a Saturday, and there may be others around that I don't know about. Now, I was listening to this podcast and I heard some really good stuff, and a lot of it was all about this book here, and I have read this book. It is really good. And I agree with Emma Sullivan. One of the reasons it's so good is that it's not that long. I read this in 2 hours. Okay. It's less, as she says, than it's only about 100 pages, and it's big writing inside. So it's not one of those books that you're going to sit there and go, oh my God, I've got to wade through this. I actually did pick it up just like Emma. And when I started reading it, I thought, oh God, this is damn good. This is really good. And actually, do you know what it does to you? When you get some of this stuff, it's so positive. It actually makes you feel positive and you smile. And I really would recommend it. And it is The Consistency Chain, and it's for network marketing by George Campbell and Jim Packard. It's available through Knowledge is King. Really good. If you don't want to spend the money, I'm happy to lend this out as long as I get it back. All right. Now I have another personal development that's important to me, nothing to do with network marketing. And it's my new development. And it's Alan Buckingham allotment month by month. But I absolutely love this. Now, can I ask you all, if there's something that you really love, do you find you want to do it more?
Yeah.
You do. So actually, the funny thing is, it's about getting positive. Being positive is really important. And this morning, by just getting out, as I love, getting that fresh air, getting that exercise, getting that oxygen and getting my body going, and then listening to some positivity at the same time, I came back feeling like the joys of the world. Now, I could have got up sluggishly. I could have gone and made a cup of tea, sat down, had breakfast, stuck the news on. Oh my God, does anyone really ever watch the news? I haven't watched it in I don't know how long because it's so depressing, isn't it? I don't want that. Can you see the difference? I'm being extreme on purpose because one set of actions can create that mindset in a different frame. They talk about doing something consistently, and Emma says, if you ate an apple a day for a year, or if you ate a donut a day for a year, possibly for the first month, there wouldn't really be any stark difference, but you could be sure that after a year of a donut a day, there would have been some weight gain, which would have been very depressing. So actually, the consistency of doing the right positive stuff is very important, terribly important. It's the same old adage. I use it every time, and he does make me laugh, Rob. But he says you don't get a body like this by going to the gym once. The reality is, you know, anything requires consistency. You've got to do it regularly. And actually, we talked about this the other week. When you do something regularly, what happens is you start to gain skills, and those skills give you competency. And it's the competency that gives you the positiveness which people buy. People buy that confidence and positiveness. So it has a wonderful knock-on effect. So there's a lot of little different things I've talked about there. There's lots of other things that we can do and should do. There's things like trainings. I don't know how often people go on the trainings. I've been actually chatting to Stuart Edmonston, and I actually feel I'd like to embark on offering some real human coaching again. And I don't mind traveling. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. Who would like not at the end of Zoom? Who would like to be able to sit in an auditorium and actually have some coaching, which is different to training? Training is quite a different thing. Coaching is enabling people to find the stuff themselves. Would that be of benefit to anyone here? Up in Scotland, I'm going to be challenged unless I decide to make it a little mini holiday, Tom and Rod. All right. I have done it before, as you know. I have gone up there. I spent a few days and do that, but it's something that I want to do. I've got people in the West Country that are very much out on their own, and I feel that the contact's important. Now, talking about things that we need to do, one of the most important things is hands up if you've already booked Amplify. Excellent. Now, do it. Choose a day and be committed. This is really important. I know what's going on in everyone's minds. In fact, I might have been in there, or perhaps it was Kev, sorry, but I've been discussing this. No, it was Stuart this morning. I reckon it won't go ahead as a real live event. Hate to be a downer, but everything's telling me what's going on with our government, that as soon as that recess is over, I think they'll lock us down again. I would love that not to be the case. And I've booked Saturday and I really want to be there. And I'll tell you why I do. Because I was one of those leaders that didn't watch at the end of Zoom, and I went and I forgot just how fabulous it is to be around people. And the energy that you feel from others and the positiveness, you cannot get this at the end of a Zoom. No matter how hard you try, you can't. It was absolutely fabulous. And I felt energized like crazy after that event. So I know it's going to be fabulous. Now, please don't think you've got to book both days. The company actually would rather you didn't. And I'll tell you why. They want as many partners as possible to go. All right. And you cannot take, unfortunately, husbands, wives, girlfriends, partners outside of the business. It's partners only, because they want to fill the auditorium each day with as many as possible. I've already kind of got people committed that are telling who's coming up with me. Okay. I suggest, if you're already a leader, start thinking about offering a car share. I think that's important. It's, if you've, who's not been to a utility warehouse event? Put your hand up if you've never been to one. Oh, wow. You're in for such a treat. You've got, oh my God, you've got no idea how good they are. They are just amazing. They never ever are just about what you see on stage. There is always like goodie bags, and then it's all the stuff that happens when you're not in your seat and you're meeting up at lunchtime. And oh my gosh, it's absolutely fabulous. It is really, really good. There'll be all sorts of things that will be as an aside that are there, and it is fabulous. And the other thing about them is sometimes you meet up with someone, say in the break, and you click with that person. Now they could be from another part of the country, and before you know it, you could have yourself a success buddy, somebody that you just click with, and they're not even in your team, but it really is wonderful, a thing to have. Now, for at least 2 years, there's a lady called Sarah Riley. She's a fellow SGLN trainer, and she and I were success buddies. Now, my business is much bigger than hers, but it didn't matter, because Sarah is an ex-headmistress of the best girls' private school in the UK, Wentworth. And if anyone's ever been in a Sarah Riley training, she's amazing. She's absolutely amazing. And she's so good at discipline and accountability. And what Sarah and I did for each other, this is what I'm getting to, and it's in the consistency. Having someone to bounce off, a success buddy, starts to help you be accountable, because it's so easy to just drop the ball. Whereas if you've got somebody that what we used to do was have an afternoon Friday chat and tell each other what we'd done. And actually I used to, it's weird, but I never wanted to go on the Friday afternoon chat with Sarah and admit I hadn't done what I said I was going to do. It's a strange thing. And she said she felt the same too. So it's a really good thing without pressure. All right. So there's something else for you to think about. Having a success buddy. Yeah. So has this stuff been helpful? Because it's always so fast. Unmute yourselves, because there's bound to be some, I can see there's some stuff in the chat. Let me have a look. Ah, here we are. People are writing stuff down. Daily method of operation.
Yeah, I've got it.
I already do that. I've got one of them up on my wall. So
Excellent.
I already do it. So
Well done, Teresa. Brilliant. And listen, if you're worried about the journey to Cheltenham, it is only Cheltenham. Please, whatever, pally up with someone. In fact, it's nicer to fill up the cars and go with friends in the business. It's nice to do that. And it is going to be very good. I so hope it comes off. The hard part is I just sort of feel it may not, but I'll say this to you. If you book that day, you've committed. And whether it becomes virtual or the live event makes no odds. What you've done is set that time aside for that event, which is a good thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Whereas if you don't commit at the moment, and by the way, I hope you're all aware, it's totally refundable. You know that. So if Mr. Government steps in, don't worry. Everyone's tickets are refundable. But what it's about is setting that time aside. Now, there are all sorts of things that can get in the way of either the Saturday or the Sunday, and I'm totally aware of that. But what I would say to you is say to yourself, has anyone ever really adored a certain group or concert? I mean, am I allowed to admit it on here? I'm into the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
And I've got Ronnie Woodard, and I've got books on them, but there's nothing like seeing them live and seeing Mick strut his stuff at his stupid 70s. It's like the energy is unbelievable. You cannot, I have seen, I went to Cardiff, the Millennium Stadium, and saw them there about 3 years ago. Oh my God, it was amazing, the atmosphere. In fact, this is weird. I've got goosebumps right now, even thinking about it. Right? You can't get that watching a flipping video. You've got to be there. In fact, Steph says, commit and do what you said you were going to do when you said you'd do it, and don't let anything else in the meantime get in between. And if there's something else that's on the agenda, I know on one of the groups, somebody said it was very inconvenient. Their dad was getting married. And she asked, could the event be rearranged? Now, in fairness, she's brand new. She had no idea that there's thousands of people and it can't be rearranged for her dad's wedding. And that's fine. But do you know what? Yes, there is a wedding day, but it doesn't have to be the whole weekend, does it? You know what I mean? If there's something which is pretty important like that, you don't miss your dad's wedding, do you? Yeah. But there is another day in that weekend. And so you could go to that. And I'm just trying to say, treat it as something very important, because it is fabulous. And if you've never been to one, wow, you're in for such a treat. Anybody got a question on what I've been discussing there?
I'm just asking, Lisa, is there a likelihood it will be recorded?
They're saying no. And the reason being is they absolutely want people there.
Yeah.
Because they don't want the whole network just going, no, I'll just stay home. Because I'll tell you why. Right, we had Partner Power Up, Ros.
Yeah.
Now, I had people here each day and we did sit and focus. However, there was chit chat and stuff. Whereas when you're at a live event, you're actually involved and you're listening, you're actively listening. And do you know what? I am sure that if they said, oh, you know, it will just be recorded, you can watch it, people wouldn't sit down. I know they wouldn't. They'd go, oh, it's all right, I can watch that anytime I want. And for some folk, they'd never bother.
Yeah, and the only reason I was asking is that there are still some people who are semi-shielding. My team member had a heart attack at New Year. Now her husband's got cancer, and so she can't put herself in any dangerous position, potentially dangerous position. And I just wondered if it's going to be recorded.
No, they've absolutely said not. Andrew was most adamant about that. But we'll have to see what happens. Okay. Let's hope it goes ahead. I really do. You know, Cheltenham's a great venue. I believe it holds about 2,500. We've been there quite a few times.
Yeah.
It's a nice place, you know, and we do have some laughs. And I know that they've got all kinds of things up their sleeve, which I am not allowed to say. Right, well, guys, listen, I've gone over time. Next week, I'm having actually the Tuesday off. All right, it's the first one, actually. Do you know, I realised I forgot to change the week. This was week 37. So 37 weeks I haven't missed, but I'm having next week off because I'm having a day on the Isle of Wight.
Wow.
Not going abroad, but having the odd day here and the odd day there. It's a bit of holiday. So we will resume 2 weeks time, which I believe then is the 10th, Tuesday the 10th.
Okay.
Okay. All right, guys, thank you very much. This one is recorded. Something messed up last time. I have no idea what happened to the technology, but I promise this one will go out. All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much for coming on. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks. Bye.